They had nothing to do with it.
They're good individuals. They're important members of our White House team, and that's why I spoke with them so that I could come back to you and say that they were not involved.
I went to both those individuals, asked them point blank, were you involved in the leaking of Valerie Plame's identity in any way? Both of them told me unequivocally no.
But Scott McClellan now says in his new book, Rove and Libby lied to him. And it turns out a lot of reporters knew it, but said nothing.
And Scott McClellan, the White House spokesperson, gets up and he says, Karl Rove was absolutely not involved. Well, there were at least 3, probably 4 people, if not in that room, that watched it live at various news organizations that knew that that was a flat-out lie because they had talked to Karl Rove about Valerie Plame and who she was.
The reporters were so eager for access to the White House, they allowed themselves to be used for political gain.
Using the reporters, in effect, to carry out their political mission. And that's different from cultivating a source to get information that's of value to you as a journalist. Here you are being used by the government official to carry out their political work.
Instead of clarifying the facts in this national security breach, the media just had a free-for-all.
I think the one that always, upsets Valerie the most is that she wasn't covert, which is just ridiculous.
Was she, in fact, a covert agent was never even proved.
There is no doubt that her relationship with the CIA was classified.
If you give the identity of a classified person, it doesn't mean diddly squat. You has to be a covert agent.
And I still don't believe she was engaged in any covert activities.
He knew whether she was covert or not from day one, and she isn't.
She's never been proven to be covert.
To endanger national security by outing a covert CIA operative for political purposes.
She was not a covert operative.
The CIA says that she was.
For the record, Valerie Plame Wilson was a covert agent. The CIA put it in writing. Brooks Jackson leads the fact-check team for the Annenberg School of Communications. They reveal misleading political ads coming from Republicans and Democrats alike.
Just let me show you a few examples. Well, the Obama ad...
Corning shuts down its plant in Pennsylvania. Hundreds lose their jobs.
The fact is that Corning plant shut down because it made old-fashioned cathode ray tube TV tubes that are being replaced by flat-screen technology. Not John McCain's fault.
We can't afford more of the same.
This McCain ad is part of a pattern.
Barack Obama and out-of-touch congressional leaders' painful tax increases on working American families.
What Obama is actually proposing is a tax cut for most of us, 80% probably, and a tax increase only for families making over $250,000 a year. Actually, we call this a pattern of misrepresentation, a pattern of deceit, which is something we don't often say.
Jackson says fact-checking by news organizations in 2008 has been better than in previous years. Still,
TV stations are making a lot of money from these TV ads. We're seeing just unprecedented amounts of cash thrown at political advertising in this election. And it's always seemed to me that a television station that's making so much money off of these things owes the audience, the viewers, a responsibility to channel a little bit of that money back into checking whether or not what's being said in those ads is true or not.
Why can't we just ban all political television advertising? Because in 1975, the Supreme Court ruled that money equals free speech. Congressman! We caught up with Congressman John Doolittle outside his 2006 congressional debate with Democratic challenger Charlie Brown.
Campaigns are just advertising driven. Advertising is horrendously expensive. Certainly electronic media is ridiculously expensive, and that's the best way that everybody wants to use. My point is we ought to respect the First Amendment. It says Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, and the fact of the matter is that part of that, the meaning of that is that you can't control the means of making the speech. You have to let people raise the money in order to be able to get their message out. Otherwise, you've effectively denied them the freedom of speech.
How much money will you be spending on electronic media in this campaign?
That is a trade secret.
It is an open secret that nearly $3 billion were spent on campaign ads in the 2008 election. And the candidates? They spent 75% of their time fundraising.
Most candidates spend most of their time doing what? Raising money in politics. And where does the money go? Right into the media's back pocket. You got the money, I got the time. So we can stop those practices by ensuring that candidates are given free airtime. That's a very simple thing.
The Gore Commission that was done back in 1998-99, there was a proposal that the networks provide and the licensees provide 5 minutes of airtime to candidates. That went nowhere.
Any free airtime proposal means less profits for broadcasters. Profits that, according to the FCC, top 46%.
911, what's the emergency?
Is this Minot Dispatch?
Yes, it is.
We got an emergency, just had a derailment. We've got an explosion. CP rail, over.
Okay. Do you know what kind of chemicals are on board, sir?
We've got hazardous material, and I can smell stuff now.
It was 6 degrees below zero in Minot, North Dakota, January 18th, 2002. 7 Canadian Pacific train cars derailed at 1:30 a.m., creating the worst anhydrous ammonia spill in history. Just outside the housing tract, Teresita Vallejo, a cloud of deadly gas was moving toward the town. Minot Police Sergeant Dave Goodman heard the call and went to take a look.
It looked almost like something out of a cheap horror film. It was just a large cloud, and it just appeared to be rolling towards Minot.
There's some smoke.
We understand that, sir. 911, what's the emergency?
I am going to pass out.
Sergeant Goodman needed his gas mask, but it was at home, inside the poisonous cloud.
I pulled into my driveway.
911 emergency. Where's Kelsey at?
I had my SWAT gear in the garage. I ended up getting my gas mask. And I got my family out of the house. They were in extreme panic.
Give me a drink and stop.
My kids were 4, 6, and 8 years old at that time.
How old is your daughter? She's 12. 12. Okay, just stay on the phone.
My kids were screaming in the background, so they were all concerned. I know my wife has said several times that she was scared that she was either going to sit there and watch our kids die.
She can't breathe out there.
Or that she was going to die in front of our kids.
It's bad. We're going to try to go to the neighbors.
But going outside was the worst thing to do.
We were running all over the place. We didn't know where we were going.
Sue and Mike Johnson fled their home and got lost. But they got lucky. The Lundeen family rescued them.
Our eyes and our nose and our throats, everything was burning, burning, burning.
We were never so happy as to see a set of hands beating on that windshield.
You guys just find a place to sit down, find each other, and I'll get some towels.
Tom Lundeen guided the families into his basement. No lights, no heat, no information.
Radio, anything on the radio yet? Hear anything?
No, there hasn't been anything, just music.
Dispatchers were advising callers to listen to their emergency broadcast station.
What should we listen to? A certain radio? KCJB Radio 910. KCJB.
But a full hour after the crash, there was still nothing on KCJB or any other radio station.
We've been putting it out over the radio.
What's the radio station?
All the radio stations, sir.
I have had it on. I haven't heard it once.
How come there's nothing on the radio or the TV yet?
Should be something on the radio about it, but there isn't.
Here is actual footage from inside the patrol car that night. Listen carefully. You'll hear the radio playing music.
312, 424. 12. I'm starting to get a pretty good odor of it up here at 21st Avenue now.
There were 8 commercial radio stations in Minot. 6 of them, including KCJB, had been bought by one company, Clear Channel. They were programmed from 1,200 miles away via satellite.
I got the radio on and just going through it until I found KCJB, who is the station at that time for emergency services.
Only thing we heard on the radio was what time it was and the temperature. What time it was and the temperature. And that just gets old. 140, 145, 215, 220. Oh, it was awful. Only the time and temp. That's all we heard over and over and over and over again. And country music.
911, what is your emergency?
Minot police tested the emergency alert system the week before, but it didn't work that night.
911, what is your emergency?
And cops aren't allowed to interrupt regular programming when they need to. Interruptions cut into advertising revenue. Only the president can do that.
If we could have had somebody on that would have said, stay in your home, we would have, yes, our lives would be much, much better. We have lots of health issues now because we were out in it for 22 minutes because we didn't know what it was.
No one could reach the emergency broadcaster by telephone. Clear Channel was consolidating all 6 of its stations into one building and had cut the line. Just one broken telephone line meant no one could reach anyone at 6 different local radio stations.
911 emergency. There's a man down in his driveway.
I had the benefit of meeting him one night when I was just brand spanking new, and he was my first ticket I ever wrote to, and we became good friends after that.
911, what is your emergency?
We are seeking a person who's unaccounted for, and his name is John Grabinger, and no one has heard of him or seen him.
A good friend of mine died that morning.
So what did the CEO of Clear Channel have to say about all this?
And you're trying to compete to sell your customers' products, which is our business. We're in the business of selling our customers' products. And through our audiences, the advertising that we sell, we hope that we do accomplish that. It is our absolute commitment to be a public service conduit to every single market that we're in, which we do achieve in every single market that we're in.
Broadcasters can neglect the public in other ways. Take the case of Entercom's radio station in Sacramento, KDND, who sponsored a water drinking contest. Hold your Wii to win a Nintendo Wii.
I think some 20 people entered the contest.
How much water do you think you can drink before you have to wee? Oh, dude.
Can't you get water poisoning and die?
During the show, any number of people were calling in and saying, look, this is a dangerous stunt. Someone could die.
Those people that are drinking all that water can get sick and possibly die from water intoxication.
Yeah, we're aware of that. They signed releases, so we're not responsible.
The staff laughed this off.
Hey, Carter, is anybody dying in there?
We got a guy that's just about to die.
Oh, good. Make sure you sign that we laugh at that. Yeah. Make sure he signs the release. Get the insurance on that, please.
Ultimately, a young woman, a mother of 3 children, I believe she was 28 years old, if I'm not mistaken, consumed about 2 gallons of water.
Oh, my gosh, look at her belly. Are you pregnant? Come on over, Jennifer. Are you okay? You want to